Top 5 secret CIA projects you were never supposed to know. Some secrets die with their creators, others leak slowly. Like poison, the Central Intelligence Agency, America's shadow empire, was built to defend freedom. But in the name of national security, it has committed acts so disturbing, so unimaginable, they were buried under layers of lies, redactions, and silence. Today, we're exposing 5 of the CIA's darkest operations, projects so secret, even presidents weren't told. And if you think it's all history, think again. The Project 5, MK Ultra, the mind control nightmare. It sounds like science fiction, a government program to control human minds. But MK Ultra was horrifyingly real. Officially launched in the early 1950s, the project aimed to develop techniques for psychological manipulation, interrogation, and mind control. The goal? Create the perfect spy, the perfect assassin, a human weapon who could kill on command and remember nothing. The CIA didn't test these methods on volunteers. They used prisoners, mental hospital patients, students, without their knowledge or consent. They were drugged with LSD, hypnotized, tortured, isolated for days, even weeks. Some went insane. Some died. Others simply disappeared. One subject, a man named Harold Blower, a professional tennis player, was injected with a secret drug 5 times stronger than LSD. He died hours later. The government denied responsibility for decades. Another subject, Frank Olson, a CIA scientist himself, began to question the project. Days later, he fell, or was pushed from a hotel window. His death was ruled a suicide. Years later, a second autopsy revealed head trauma before the fall. MK Ultra's records were ordered destroyed in 1973 by CIA Director Richard Helms. Only a few thousand pages survived by accident. What's in them is disturbing enough, but what was erased, we may never know. What we do know is that MK Ultra wasn't just about mind control. It was about control, period. And fragments of its research still influence interrogation and surveillance methods today. Project 4. Operation Midnight Climax. Prostitutes, mirrors, and drugged wine. If MK Ultra sounds horrifying, its cousin was straight from a dystopian nightmare. Operation Midnight Climax, yes, that was the real name, took things to another level. Starting in the 1950s, the CIA set up safe houses in San Francisco and New York. Inside them, beds, two-way mirrors, hidden microphones, and CIA and sex workers. Here's how it worked. A man would be picked up by a prostitute, taken to the safe house, offered a drink laced with LSD or another experimental drug, and then observed, without his knowledge, by CIA agents behind a mirror. They wanted to see how people behaved under the influence of mind-altering substances, how far they could be pushed, how easy they were to manipulate. There were no rules, no oversight, no informed consent. Agents even spied on each other, experimenting on their own colleagues. One declassified memo gleefully noted, the unwitting subject was seen to undress a coat rack, believing it to be his wife. It wasn't science, it was sadism, and the data was unreliable at best. But the program ran for over a decade. Some say it never fully ended. The buildings still stand. The mirrors are still there. The shadows still talk. Project 3. Operation Chaos. Spying on Americans. The CIA is forbidden by law from operating on U.S. soil. It is, by definition, a foreign intelligence agency. But in 1967, all of that changed. The Vietnam War was spiraling out of control. Protests erupted across America. The government was paranoid, convinced that communists had infiltrated anti-war groups, civil rights movements, and college campuses. Enter Operation Chaos. The CIA began a massive, illegal domestic surveillance program. They monitored phone calls, opened mail, infiltrated political organizations, and compiled dossiers on over 300,000 American citizens, including journalists, professors, and politicians. One internal document described it as a domestic counterintelligence operation masquerading as foreign surveillance. Even Martin Luther King Jr. was watched. His friends, his family, his hotel rooms bugged. The CIA claimed it was preventative, but it was about control, fear, suppression. And when chaos was finally uncovered in 1974 during the church committee hearings, the public was stunned. The agency admitted to decades of abuse, cover-ups, and constitutional violations. But to this day, no one was held fully accountable, and surveillance powers, especially under new anti-terror laws, have only expanded. So, ask yourself, who's watching now? Project 2: Stargate, the Psychic Spy Network. Believe it or not, the CIA once tried to weaponize psychics. No joke. From the 1970s as to the mid-90s, as they poured $20 million, 0 cents, into a program called Project Stargate, a top-secret operation aimed at training remote viewers to spy on enemies using only their minds. These viewers claimed they could locate Soviet submarines, describe top-secret weapons facilities, and even identify hostages, while sitting in a dark room blindfolded, thousands of miles away. One claimed to see inside a Russian nuclear base from above. Another described the inside of a briefcase in Tehran with uncanny accuracy. Some results were vague, others terrifyingly precise. The military took it seriously, so did the NSA. For years, Stargate was quietly funded, expanded, and tested. But in 1995, the program was declassified and shut down. Officially, they claimed it failed to provide actionable intelligence. Unofficially, well, some believe elements of the program continued under black budgets. Some insiders claim psychic experiments are still active today, just under new names in new places with better funding. Skeptics laugh, but the documents exist. The tapes exist. And if the CIA wasted 20 years chasing shadows, what did they see in the dark that made them keep going? Project 1: Operation Northwoods, staging terror to start war. Of all the projects on this list, Operation Northwoods is perhaps the most terrifying, because it almost happened. In 1962, the Joint Chiefs of Staff proposed a false flag operation so outrageous it sounds like a conspiracy theory. But it was real, it's documented, and it was nearly signed by the president. The plan? Orchestrate fake terrorist attacks on American soil, bombs, hijackings, shooting civilians, blaming it all on Cuba. Why? To justify a full-scale U.S. invasion of the island and remove Fidel Castro from power. They even suggested using real U.S. military planes painted to look Cuban, crashing a drone airliner and blaming it on enemy sabotage, staging a mass shooting at a Miami refugee center, faking casualties, planting false evidence. Every detail was typed, outlined, and signed, except by one man, President John F. Kennedy. He was furious. He rejected the plan outright. Months later, he fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. A year after that, he was assassinated. Northwoods was buried, forgotten, until it was declassified in 1997. To this day, most Americans have never heard of it, but it proves something chilling. The intelligence community, at its darkest, was willing to kill its own citizens if it meant achieving its goals. And once a line like that is crossed, there's no going back. The pattern behind the projects. Each of these operations, MK Ultra, Midnight Climax, Chaos, Stargate, and Northwoods, seems different on the surface. One about drugs, one about spying, one about psychic warfare. But look deeper. They all share a pattern. Control. Control of people's minds, movements, beliefs, even their perception of reality. The CIA was born in secrecy, shaped by fear, hardened by war. But somewhere along the line, it became something more, something darker. It stopped just defending democracy and started experimenting on it. These projects weren't small. They weren't mistakes. They were institutional, funded, protected, hidden. And in every case, when the truth began to surface, the evidence was burned, the witnesses silenced, the guilt denied, accountability non-existent. Even now, long after these projects were shut down, new ones have taken their place. New names, new enemies, new shadows. And what we're allowed to know is only the tip of something much larger. In 1977, during a Senate hearing, one CIA director was asked, would the CIA ever run another MK Ultra again? His answer, not under this name. In that moment, he said more than he realized. The projects never ended. They evolved, changed skins, new titles, new targets. Today, surveillance is legal. Propaganda is digital. Mind control? Look at your screen, your feed, your fears. In a world built on distraction and division, the need for secret control isn't gone, it's just more efficient. So, as you scroll, listen, share, ask yourself, what are they doing right now that we won't learn about until 2075? What's happening behind that black door with no handle? What's the next Northwoods, the next Midnight Climax, the next lie you were never supposed to know? The CIA is not fiction. These documents are real. These operations happened, and the next one could already be underway. If this shook you, subscribe now, because Forgotten Diaries is bringing you what they tried to bury, and tell us in the comments, which project shocked you the most, and which one do you think never really ended? History isn't dead. It's classified, but not for long. This is Forgotten Diaries.